What has become of the more than $1 billion in Venezuelan oil revenue generated since January, when U.S. Special Forces extracted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro from Caracas in a nighttime raid? That's the question many Democrats in Congress are asking as the administration scrambles to unlock Venezuelan crude to offset a fuel crisis driven by the U.S. attack on Iran. On January 28th, Secretary of State Marco Rubio testified before a Senate committee that the first $500 million in proceeds from Venezuelan oil sales were being routed through an offshore account in Qatar, with the State Department monitoring and approving disbursements. Rubio called the arrangement novel and a short-term mechanism. That led to calls for investigations and legislation that would force the Trump administration to hand over details. Then, on February 13th, Energy Secretary Chris Wright said the money had been moved to an account managed by the U.S. Treasury. Since Venezuela has so many creditors and they owe a lot of money, we had some risk if we put it into a U.S. bank account set up quickly that creditors could freeze that money, Wright told NBC News. We want those creditors ultimately to get their money back, but that money urgently needs to get to Venezuela. However, details about how the Trump administration is managing those funds remain scarce. Congressman Sean Casten and Senator Chris Van Hollen pressed for answers in a March 10th letter. Regardless of whether the Qatari bank account has been wound down, it is important that the administration produce related documents, submit to congressional oversight, and provide the American people with much-needed transparency on this opaque and legally questionable plan, the lawmakers wrote. To learn more about how the U.S. is handling Venezuela's oil revenue, visit news.oilandgaswatch.org.